She's here. All right. Maybe I'll be searching for a whiteboard. You guys feel so far away. Maybe we do need another row up here.
I got to come way up here.
No, no, you guys are good. Just like, look at how much room I have up here for all the activities.
Yeah.
This is good. All right. Nah, probably not. We'll see. Maybe I'll draw a picture on that. That's a little permanent. Oh, wait, there's a whiteboard underneath it, though. We'll see. We'll see, because this is all about what you guys want to learn today. Because we're going to talk broad strokes about things. So before we get into it, I want everyone to tell me two things. Let's see, no one's closed the deal yet, right? Okay. So I want you to tell me, like, what gets you excited to go find your first deal and get a closing, and then what you're the most nervous about in getting a closing. We can go in any order, but everyone has to say. Who's first? What are you most excited about and least excited about? The paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Besides the money, how about that? Or you can do it. It can be the money, but it has to be what the money does for you. It can't just be like, put 10 grand in my bank account. Like, what does that do? Okay.
There is a lot in it.
Like, I should write these things down. I am writing something. All right. Messing up a contract. All right, who's next?
I'm excited to understand how, like, all the process. Because I think now different way maybe that can be, I don't know, that's like, I'm just excited to understand all the process. I'm excited. I'm scared about like the time. I don't want to take too much time, just go first. But, I'm excited to learn how to do it first and have the experience. Not have some mistakes. I don't know. I'm never about like some mistakes.
Putting two. You get two. All right, what about you two?
I get excited about the investing part and going for all the strategies.
Love that.
I'm excited about getting the first deal. So
All right, John. That's the best of all the game.
I think what I'm most excited about is it will officially launch my career. I'm so excited about that. That I feel that once I get past that first one, that's like the biggest hurdle. And then after that, you know, my systematic approach is take over. And what I'm least excited about is the maintenance.
Tell me more. What do you mean by maintenance?
Well, because what happens is after that first deal, there's a lot of following up. And so there are customers, having objections or maybe, there might be issues in the transaction, things like that, just a potential things that could really, kind of put me in the hot seat with the customer.
Okay. Keep these in mind today. Because we are going to, wait, does it sound like I'm talking through a microphone? Wonder if it's the volume. Fritz, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, that's all I really care about. I can talk loud enough for everyone here. I just want to make sure you got me. Okay. So today we are embrace your job. How did Cody do with Spark Your Career? Was that good?
Yep.
Okay. You might have been the only one there, John,
I
of
think-
this little
I
group.
think it was- Yeah, Cody, so we had kind of a really nice one-on-one.
Yeah, Cody's good. So here's our game plan for today. We are going to apply the 6 core competencies of a business. Recognize your role as a fiduciary for your clients, review the success systems, recap and aha, and daily success. So let's talk about the 6 core competencies. So these are the 6 things you need to be doing. So I had this conversation with a very experienced agent on Friday about the difference between a bad agent and a good agent. There is very little difference, right? You can probably think or imagine of a few of the things that are like a bad agent wouldn't keep their clients in the loop. They're not going to be good at negotiating, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole bunch of things that we could say a bad agent does. The difference between a good agent and a great agent, there's probably just like little subtle things that are harder to pick out. Here's the big surprise about all of it. Bad agents get closings just as easily as good agents.
Saved. No.
Because how often do people buy houses or sell houses?
10 years.
So what are the chances that a bad agent runs into someone, says, I can help you, I can do all of these things, does a bad job, and then moves on to the next person and is able to do a whole bad job to that next person? What's the difference from a good agent that runs into a person, does a good job, helps them out, and then has to go find their next deal?
I think the good agent's going to have a better chance of referrals.
That is the one difference from a bad agent to a good agent. The difference, though, from the client's perspective is they don't have something to judge. So if you have a very bad experience as a client, you're not going to refer it. But if you have never sold a house, you don't know what the process of selling a house is like. So bad agents and good agents do about the same in terms of business. I want you guys to be great agents, because great agents get the outsized market share because they get a lot of referrals. They get people excited about them, and they have clients for life. So that's the whole goal. So if you get good at these 6 things, you will be a great agent. So lead generate, capture and convert leads to appointments. Present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. Show buyers and market sellers, write negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to closing, and manage the money. So with this question that I asked, what you're the most nervous about, as you see this list, which number makes you the most nervous? Sounds like you guys are all excited about managing the money. But if you were to put your worries,
Number 4, right?
Right. 4?
Yep.
Is that where you guys are all sitting? The the funniest thing about this, so most people, they're excited about number 3, right? Show buyers and market sellers. I talk to people all the time. They're like, I love to get into real estate because I love seeing houses. So I just imagine I love showing houses, or I have a knack for design. So like staging and telling sellers what to do about their house and market it. Like, it seems like a lot of real estate agents are excited about number 3. Number 4, write and negotiate contracts. Is it the writing or the negotiating? What's scarier?
The writing.
The
And I
writing?
think it's because I haven't really studied all the forms yet. That's one of my, really John needs to do. To become very familiar with the contracts, with the agreements and everything. So I'll feel comfortable, writing them out.
So 1 through 6, they numbered them for a reason. Because if you don't do number 1, you are not going to do number 2, which you're not going to do number 3, which you're not going to do number 4, which you're not going to do number 5, and you're not going to have any money to manage. You're going to have expenses to manage. So, in the hierarchy of things, you don't need to worry about writing an offer until you have that client, until they sign an agreement, until they're found the house or have a home to list. Good news is writing and negotiating contracts is one of the easiest things to practice. All you need to do is write a fake offer. I will look over all of these. Brittany will look over all of these. In your roadmaps that we've sent you, there is we call them case studies of writing offers. So let's jump into all of these and talk about them a little bit. Oh, but I clicked off. Lead generate. So what are you guys doing right now to generate leads? John.
I'm calling all of my contacts. So I'm calling like an average of 10 a day.
Nice.
Yesterday, I had downtime yesterday, after church and everything. And I finished the route for my entire farm. So next Monday, I'm gonna start knocking on doors.
Sweet.
And, this week I'm designing the newsletter that I'll be handing out.
I love that. If you guys were to think of your sphere, like let's see. Wait, pull out your phones. I mean, scroll down to the letter C. And of those first 5 people, tell me how many of them you know what they do for work. I don't care if it's your first name or your last name, how you're sorting your contacts, but the letter C, how many of the first 5 people do you know what they do for work?
First one, restaurateur, because it's Cafe Rio.
Of the people that are real people, 4. That's pretty good. 2. What are the chances that if I did this with your sphere and they pulled up your name, that they would know what you are doing for work?
As of now,
Right now,
0.
0.
Well, that's not true, probably about 20.
So if you had a friend that thought, oh, I have a real estate question, who are they going to think of first? Is that you? Is that someone else? Are they going to Google? Are they going to ChatGPT? How are they getting that answer about real estate? The other day I had a friend call me and he said, hey, I'm buying a house in Arizona and I have a question contract. Can you help me? What was my answer? I've never looked at Arizona's contract, but it's real estate, so let's do this. I'm here to help you in real estate. And now he lives in Arizona and I probably won't ever close a deal with him. But he thought of me before he thought of anyone else, which is funny because he has a real estate agent that is helping him, but it's like his brother-in-law or someone and he doesn't trust them at all. So even after he was like that, he thought in his mind, who sells real estate? And he thought of me. So if he had a referral of a friend looking to buy or sell real estate, he probably would have let me know. If I taught him to let me know, that's the other piece of this. If he was looking to buy or sell a house here in Utah, he probably would have called me because I have done my job keeping in contact and things like that. The other thing with this is you need to teach your sphere how to give you referrals, right? Good agent, bad agent. Bad agents don't get referrals. Good agents probably should. Great agents definitely do. And the great agents, they teach their sphere how to give them referrals. Here's the few things that you should teach your sphere when you're talking to them about giving your referrals is number one, get in a group text with all of you. So that's what I always tell my sphere. Hey, if you ever hear of anyone looking to buy or sell, will you just put us in a little group message? That way they have my number, I have their number, and you can see that I at least reached out and see if they reached out to me. Because how many times have you like called someone and they just don't answer? And then you have to go back to your friend that sent you a referral that's like, oh, my friend wants to buy or sell a house. And you're like, I don't know what's happening. I've called them, I've texted them, they're ghosting me. And then they're like, let me go see what's going on. But like it gives that little buffer. So I always say, hey, if you ever hear of anyone looking to buy or sell or just has a question in real estate, put us in a group message. I'd be happy to reach out. And then as soon as they both respond, I take it to like a different group chat, or I say, hey, when can I call you or something like that? And we set up a time. Get a referral. That's a great agent doing that. Lead generate, capture, and convert appointments. Wait, can we go back to this list for a minute? On this list, are you guys doing things day to day that do not belong on this list or that are not on this list? Let's use John as an example. Can we do this, John? Are you okay with this? So he has created a farm, which is a list of all these houses that he is going to prospect and do a whole bunch of work. Creating that farm, does this fall on this list?
Creating the farm.
Creating your farm like you did yesterday. You finished off, you have all of your farm. Does this fall on the list?
No.
Was it helpful for you to do?
Yes.
Okay. So there are going to be some tasks that are helpful, but that don't move the needle.
Right.
Those I would call the admin type tasks. If you remember from Cody talking about, where is this, the 80-20 principle? He talked about this on Friday. 20% of your efforts are going to yield 80% of your results. The backwards is also true. 80% of your efforts are going to yield 20% of your results. So if John spent all of his time perfecting his farm, he is living in this 80%, he is going to get very small response. Now let's flip this. If he says, this is good enough now, everything that I have done, and now I'm going to get into the lead generation mode, the number one here, and that is where all of my effort is going to go. He is going to get a lot of results because it is talking to people. It is this lead generation. It is moving people. It is capturing leads. It is trying to set appointments with him. That's how he is going to go further faster. But if he spends all of his time building it out, like planning to plan, then he won't go anywhere. Make sense? Action is the key. If you don't act on this, nothing else happens. I feel like I should talk about this for like 20 more minutes. Lead generate. I don't know if you guys have realized, but as we start with this, like the roadmap that I have laid out, if you've looked at this, there's a handful of admin tasks that I feel like you should just do. There's like, set up the printer. That's probably a great idea to do. Change your voicemail, put on social media what you're doing for work, like a handful of things like that that are just like, you should probably do that. You should set up your Keller Williams email and make sure you're in command. You need to do those things. But it's right after that, it is database. Let's get all your people in the database. Then the third one is the reach out talk to those people in your database. If you are not doing these lead generation things, you don't need to worry about anything else. Agents will often come in and they'll work really hard on their listing packet. They're like, I need the best listing packet. And they'll show me version 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll say, how many people have you asked if you can meet to have a listing presentation? And they say 0. Then it doesn't matter if you have it or not. It's like a plan to plan. We don't need that. We need action. If you're not taking action on lead generation, you're doing real estate wrong. Everyone on this board over here, the masters of real estate, they close $3 million of real estate every year. And the ones that are doing way more than that, they are the ones that are taking way more action in lead generation specifically. Everything else can almost be faked or learned on the spot. Do you need a presentation, like a packet to take to buyer and sellers to get an agreement signed? Need it. You don't need it. I like to have it, but it's not a need. So you don't even need that. What do you need when you go to a buyer or a seller presentation? This. You need an agreement for them to sign. That's it. That's all you need. Showing homes, that's just the fun part. Marketing homes, that's what I'm here to help for in Brittany too. Write, negotiate contracts, we're also here for all of that. You don't really need anything on 2 through 6 until you have number 1. So that should be your outsized focus. If you say, I'm going to work 10 hours this week, 8 of it should be on lead generation, right? Excluding class time. You're like, I have 10 hours to do whatever I want, where I'm not learning, I'm not improving myself. It should be all on lead generation as much as humanly possible. Because the secret, this time to the first closing, so real estate is done on a 90-day cycle. If anyone on this board was like, I have closed every single person in my pipeline, I have no one left. Like, I need to go get business. They will probably have a closing 90 days from today. How it works is it usually takes 2 to 4 weeks to find the people that are ready, or for the people that they find to become ready. Then they go on an appointment, and it takes them about a month to get them under contract. Then from the under contract, it's 30-day closing. So we're 90 days to get a closing. Now that could happen faster, right? You could call someone and they're like, that's crazy. I want to list my house today. And then you say, great, let's just list your house today. You will go walk through and you're like, this looks like a model home. Let's list it today. And then you list it and everyone loves it and they make an offer and you get a cash offer for a 2 weeks close. Like you could have a closing in 3 weeks with something like that. That is possible. Typically it's about 90 days. The work you do today, you're going to get paid for in 90 days. So with this lead generation, do as much of it as you can so you are getting paid as soon as possible, and then don't stop. Do that lead generation constantly, because then 90 days from now, you'll get a check, but then 120 days from now, you'll get a check. 150, 180, you'll just keep having those closings. If you take a pause because you found your buyer, your seller, and you stop doing all the lead generation, you're again a 90-day lag. And you'll only have 4 closings rather than having 1 a month or whatever. So, all right, let's keep going. Present to buyers and sellers to get agreements. We're going to dive deep into this throughout Ignite, but what do you guys want to know right now about getting agreements signed? Or the presentation itself? It's question time. I told you this is exactly what you guys wanted to learn. What do you need to know? How do you present? So the whole goal of the buyer and listing presentation is to move towards an agreement. So what's the scariest part of the agreement? Fishing for a specific answer.
Closing. I mean, closing on the customer.
The commission. How much money are they going to pay you? Sellers, it is directly they are paying you. Buyers, they are promising to pay if you can't get it from the sellers. So let's say it's a $500,000 house. That is $15,000. Are you worth $15,000? And your presentation is probably going to be 30 minutes to an hour. So can you explain yourself for 30 minutes to an hour to then say, pay me $15,000? Would they say, sounds good? Or are they going to be like, So, later this week, we have a class, Deliver Your Value. That's going to be a huge one that you'll want to get on and pay attention to, because you want to correctly communicate your value proposition, that someone looks at it and be like, oh, that's only 3%. Cool. Like, yeah, no questions. I'm signing here. Good news is you have the backing of decades and decades of the real estate system working, where 3% for a buyer's agent or a listing agent has been very normal. So it's not difficult to ask. A lot of people that have done this before expect 3%. So that one's easy. So how do you design that so it ends with them saying yes? It's different for buyers and sellers. With the buyers, the very most important thing, the very thing that they care about the most, it's not you, the agent, it's them finding the house. If you can help them find, negotiate, and get the house, you will win every single time. So my buyer presentation is about that. I'm here to help you find your dream house, and I'm going to walk you through the whole way, and I want to get it for the least amount of money possible. Sometimes dream homes, though, people are willing to go above and beyond budgets and things like that. They'll stretch themselves. So the buyer is, how can I help you go find your dream house? The seller is, how can I get you the most amount of money in the least amount of headache and probably time too. And so that's what you want to showcase. If you were going to recreate a buyer or a listing presentation, which I suggest just using a template that we already have, that's what you should try to do. Sellers, how can I help you sell your house for the most amount of money, the least amount of time, and the least amount of headache? And buyers, how can I find you your dream home and help you get into it for an acceptable price and timeline? Probably with the least amount of headache too. Probably helpful. So there's a lot of scripts, dialogues, and things like this that you could get good at. I suggest doing closes, like a soft close, hard close, trial close, like all these different closings. If you want to get really good at things like that, you can easily get them to sign an agreement. That is one of the buyer and the seller presentation is one of the most times that we are sales agents rather than just real estate agents, is because you need to get them to sign an agreement, because you don't work for them, that you're not going to get paid if they don't sign. So I like to do things like, does this sound like a plan to get your home sold? That's one of my favorite questions. And then if they say, yep, great. Have you heard of anything else that I missed that other real estate agents usually do to sell homes? Nope. Great. Then, assuming we can figure out the right price, are you ready to list your home with me? Great. So I've buttoned up the marketing. I know it's a plan and I know they agree on it. I know I don't have any objections. So then let's move into the pricing of the home. Because then as long as we can work out a price and a commission, they're signing their agreement. They've already told me that. So little things like that, you can start to get good at some of those. One of the great books for this is Exactly What to Say. Also, you can just look up closer lines. I don't know how you put that. ChatGPT would be really good at this. But it's presenting your value. So pay attention to that. What value do you offer? And remember, you don't need to be the hero in this. They can be the hero of their own stories. You're like the guide that helps them to get everything. But you had a question. Okay. Show buyers and market sellers. What questions, doubts, thoughts do you have about this? So let's talk about buyers first. How many homes should you show to a buyer? Four, you think? Sounds like a good guess. How many of you guys think? I don't know this answer, but I would love to know how many homes the average buyer walks through before they make an offer. They're typically 8 weeks of searching before they make an offer, but a lot of that is online searching. So it varies between 8 to 12 weeks. Seems to change every year. I haven't seen the latest year, but so it's 2 to 3 months they spend looking, and most of that is done online. And then when they finally meet you, they look at a handful of houses. So with buyers, I always try to preface like, hey, like we talked about, my job is to find you your perfect home. Now, perfect doesn't exist because it will probably be way out of your price range. You guys remember Property Brothers when they used to do this, where they'd like go show them a house and they're like, this checks everything on my bucket list. I can't believe this is 500,000. They're like, no, it's 1.5 million. And they're like, what? And they're like, or we can get this junker and fix it up. I'm like, that's a jerk move. They're like bait and switch right there. But so they're never going to find the perfect home, but does it check all of your wants and needs? And are those like in the right priority, right? If you need so many bedrooms, but you want a big yard and we find a house with as many bedrooms, but not as big of a yard, is that okay? So important to learn that from the buyer presentation, but then we'll go see houses. Most people will end up going out a handful of times. That is normal. I always preface to buyers, it's not strange if we make an offer on the first day. We're going to go see 3 or 4 houses. And if one of those seems right to you, let's make an offer. If it does not seem right, we can schedule more showings. I always let them know, by the way, an offer doesn't really mean anything. It just means that we're thinking about it more. We're serious enough to make them an offer. They still have to respond to us. Most times sellers counter whatever we say. And then even if they do accept it, we have a due diligence period that we can back out for any reason. Very simple. So even though we're making an offer, it's like reserving the home. We can change our mind for probably the next 2 weeks. Very simple. What other questions about showing buyers do you have? It's the easy part. It's the fun part. You're like shopping. I always build this up like in the buyer presentation, like, hey, are you ready to go look at houses? Like, here's how we get started. We sign this agreement and we're going to go shop. And then you can make it fun. I know people that will ask like, hey, what's your favorite drink at Swig? And then when they go show houses, they show up with Swig drink and or candy bar. They have like a little showing kit where they'll like give kids crayons or something to do. Make it fun. With sellers, marketing the home, you should use every listing that you ever get as a chance to get another buyer. You can also do this with buyers. It's just a little bit harder. If you have a signed buyer agreement, you can go market to try to find sellers with it. But if you use your clients that you have to go get more clients, you're just going to snowball and it's going to go crazy. Because then as your sphere raises their hand, if you can use that to go get another client, you are going to be way, way better off. So marketing your sellers, the secret here to sell a house is the MLS. Like bad agents, good agents, great agents, all of them use the MLS to sell it. It's something like 50% of buyers say they found their home online. That is because of the MLS, 100%. 30% say that they found their home through their real estate agent. That is the MLS. We are at 80%. 80% of people find their home because of the MLS. So when we look at back to the 80-20 principle, 20% effort yields 80% results. Posting on the MLS is that 20% that gets 80% of the results. Super simple. So that is the secret to sell a house, is put it on the MLS, right? The pricing, the condition, all of those things matter. What you're doing in marketing of the home is finding more buyers. And if you can find more sellers because of your listing, like if one of the neighbors is like, I saw how you listed that house and it was great, I want that for my house, even better. You can plan all of that out, but to be honest, it is being an awesome communicator is your secret here with the sellers. And then they'll love you, they'll give you referrals. And then you need to communicate that to the rest of their neighborhood if you want to go steal buyers. Amy, for example, Amy Timont, she sold, there's a for sale by owner in her neighborhood. She approached him, ended up locking down that listing, sold the listing. Then she sent out a little card to all of her neighbors like, hey, I just sold the neighbor's house. I wanted to let you know about it, blah, 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 blah. She is about to list another one of her neighbors. She had a few other touches in between that, but she like sold a house, presented that she sold it, talked to him. Then now she had a listing appointment and they signed the agreement. So she is like using the past sale to get her next sale. Awesome thing to do. Don't be passive, lead generate. Questions about sellers? Easy. Write, negotiate contracts. What makes this so scary? You guys almost all said that this was the scariest part.
No,
Screwing up. What do you think you would screw up on? The writing or the negotiating?
writing.
Okay,
Right, because way back, the first time I attempted real estate agents, I did screw up. I used the wrong zip code on a house. And
sold the wrong house.
no.
They had to
sold the
move
wrong
in
house.
and
No, and what it is, I did the CMA based on the zip code that was in the next neighborhood, which was a higher class neighborhood. And so it inflated the listing price by, I think it was like 15 or 20 grand or something like that. No, this is back in the 80s when the average home sold for like 110.
yeah,
So, yeah.
so a lot. So let's walk through this example. But fast forward to now. You walk into a listing presentation and you say their house is worth 500,000. And they're like, oh, I thought it was worth 550. But I trust you. Let's list at 500,000. What do you think happens? Assuming that it is actually 550. You listed 10% too low. Your 550 house, you listed at 500. What would happen?
So right away.
As a buyer's agent, how happy would you be to find something that matches your buyers 50 grand cheaper? So it probably gets a bunch of showings, bunch of offers. You respond back as a buyer, as a listing agent, and say, hey, we have multiple offers. I need your highest and best offer. Now, all the buyer's agents, they're like, well, this should be listed at 550. So we need to come in around that number. And you probably sell it around 550. I would argue above. Generally, when you list too low, you sell higher than you would have if you listed high. Okay, same example, let's flop it. Home should be 500, you list at 550. What happens?
Somebody go out.
No one goes to see it. What do you tell your sellers? Your house sucks. Nobody likes it. What do your sellers tell you? You were wrong. It's not 550. Now, what do you actually say?
I think typically say something like, well, In the past 10 days, we really haven't gotten any activity. Perhaps we should consider lowering the price.
Yep. So there's a few ways to tell if the marketing's working. And I'll say exactly this to sellers. So typically we want online views. If people are looking at it online, it means that they're at least excited enough to see what's it like. That might be like, hey, the outside of this home and the stats about it looks like it should be 500, but it's 550. Let's go click on the pictures and see why. So are we getting online views? That's kind of hard to tell because when you put a listing on the MLS, do you know how many views it usually gets? Like in a week? I don't even know that. 10,000? It's some ridiculous number like that. Yeah, because they include like map results and it showed up in this search, but they didn't click on it type of results. You can see how many times people clicked in it, but sometimes it might be like an agent, like, why do they think they're listed for so high? Or why is this listed for so low? Or, hey, this looks kind of like my house that I have listed. And that means nothing because it's not like a buyer looking at it. So online views is the first thing you should get, but it's really hard to judge how well you're doing on things like that. The next thing is actual showings. Are we getting showings? If we are not getting showings, the market is saying that our price is wrong. It's either our marketing that we have done does not showcase the property to get people interested enough to go see it, which is typically price. Someone looks like, oh, 3 beds, 2 baths listed at that price. No way. Because every 3 bed, 2 bath is listed way lower. So I'm going to this one. Then the next step is you get showings, but no offers. So my generic numbers that I like to see, and it does not hold true, it's just kind of a good generic thought experiment, is I want 3 showings a week. If I can get 3 showings a week, I know that people are going. If I get 10 showings and don't get an offer, I know that something's wrong. 10 people walking through a house and not getting a single offer is very strange. So I always tell my sellers, we can price it wherever you want. I don't even care. Like this is what the CMA is saying, but we need to have a game plan for when we're wrong or if we're wrong. If we're too low, it solves itself. If we're too high, we're not going to get showings and we'll have to have that adjustment. If we get showings and no offers, we'll have to make an adjustment. And so we'll know. And so we'll have this conversation at least every 3 weeks on what the price is going to be and if we need to make an adjustment. I never call it a lower the price, I call it adjustment. So it's hard to go wrong pricing a home because it's also hard to price homes. So don't worry about that. How about writing the offer? What worries do you have about, like what mistakes could you make writing an offer, do you think?
Maybe adding something that the buyers want and you specify well enough.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you a story about this. We had this agent on our team. He made an offer, $15,000 short of like the list price. The sellers accepted it. They went and did an inspection. There was like a handful of things that were wrong. He got them to fix all of them. It was probably like 2 or 3 grand worth of fixes. So we're like probably 18 grand below where they listed. When they closed, they wrote a bad review on him. In the review, it said he did not ask if we were allergic to cats, and we're pretty sure that they had cats in this place, and so we had to replace all of the carpet. And he did not even think to see that. And it's like, if you're allergic to cats, wouldn't you mention that?
Yeah.
He could have also, instead of going 15 grand lower, he could have gone 10 grand lower and asked to have carpets replaced. They probably would have said yes to that because 15 grand is a lot. So knowing what they want is hard, but trying to let them know like, hey, be open with me. If you like whatever you're seeing, whatever you need in this offer, let me know because we have one shot to make our offer and then they can accept it and we're kind of locked into that. There's a few built-in negotiation times, right? It's when you're making the offer, after the inspection, because it's uncovered a few new things that you did not know. I typically don't like to negotiate things that are obvious. For example, I sold this listing where the cat had ripped up some of the carpet right in the corner. Or no, as a dog, ripped up some of the carpet. If a buyer made an offer and then went and did their inspection and said, hey, as part of our inspection, we want you to fix this carpet, I would say, no, you saw that. Like, it wasn't hidden. It was open. Everyone could see it. So no, you made your offer with that knowledge. You don't have any new knowledge. So it's the new knowledge that you uncover with the inspection. Hey, the furnace actually doesn't work. The water heater's super old. Things like that. Oh, we moved this rug and saw a stain on the carpet. Like, those are the things that I would love to negotiate at the inspection. The third and final time that you'll probably negotiate is if the appraisal comes in low, you are going to go back into negotiations. If it does not, you are probably going to negotiate when you go under contract and then after the inspection. And that's it. So have your offer right. So writing the things that the buyers actually want. What else are you worried about in writing an offer and messing it up? How about price? We talked about this 550, 500 example. Let's go from the buyer's agent. Let's say a house is listed at 550 that should be 500. Your buyers walk through it. You don't know the market well enough, and you say, they say, we like it, let's make an offer. And you make an offer at 550. What would end up happening?
Appraisal's gonna come in at 500, and now there's this $50,000 gap.
Yep. Probably going to be hard to overcome. This, by the way, happened to Callie not too long ago. She had a listing. Her sellers said they wanted to list at 525. Very specific number. One of the neighbors said, we want to buy it. We're renting. We would love to own, and your unit's better than ours. So we will pay 525. The appraisal came in at 500. $25,000. They couldn't overcome how to lower the price. They are currently on the market for 500 now. So, like, sometimes just make it work. Like, figure out how to make it work and come down is sometimes the best for your sellers. There's a whole idea of who has the power, the buyers or the sellers in the negotiation, and trying to make all of that work. But yeah, that's exactly what would happen. If you were wrong, the appraisal is your fail-safe. What else could go wrong in writing a contract? Sounds like you guys need to write more contracts.
Measures.
Wrong zip, wrong address.
Wrong address?
Inspections, everything, you have to keep up with contract itself, updates.
Yep. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Brittany will actually do that. Transaction coordinator, she'll take care of everything for you. So you know about all the dates, when they're gonna lapse, make sure you've done all of your things. She's your quarterback in making sure all of that's happening. Okay, I have a challenge for all of you then. I want you to write an offer on a fake house. Actually on the MLS. Don't send it to the agent. That would be mean. But go on the MLS, find any house that you want to, and write a contract on it. Fill it all out, sign it yourself, and then send it to me. I'll look it over. I'll tell you any problems that you have. If you want to get super complex with your offer, you can. Most offers are very simple. You use the Rep C. If you want closing costs, you have to add an addendum, and that is usually as complicated as offers get. Then from there, they start to add complexity with going back and forth, but it's usually very easy to follow. They're usually not difficult until you get into the seller financing realm, and then that's like a whole nother story. Because you get to negotiate price and terms of the loan, which makes it harder because the loan has how long it is, when does it need to be paid off, what happens when it needs to be paid off, what's the payment, what's the interest rate, what's the down payment. So it just adds more complexity because there's a whole bunch more negotiating. So write an offer, send it to me, see what it is. And then get on your roadmaps. And there are 3 of these case study fake offers to do to practice. Because then you will know how to do it. And when someone says, I want to buy a house, and it's Friday night at 9 o'clock, you don't have to call me and be like, I need to write an offer. What do I do? Also, Brittany will write offers. If you're like, I need to write an offer. Here's the kicker though. Everything that she will put in the offer, you need to tell her. She's just gonna have it in a nice form. What's your purchase price? What's the down payment? When are your dates? Blah, 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 blah. And you'll just fill those out and she'll just go and move those into the right boxes. So it's really easy for you to do. It's just formatted differently when you're doing that. Negotiation is, I don't know, it's like a game. Does anyone like negotiating? Like go buy some cars and just negotiate back and forth with them. I hate doing stuff like that. I like the negotiation strategy part and then sticking to it. But like, I don't like buying a car. I think that's so dumb. Like I just went and bought my car the other day and I was like, I came to you because I knew you would give me a good deal. That's what I told the guy because my mother-in-law just bought a car from him. And then he like told me the price. I was like, is that the best you can do? And he's like, I'm giving you this discount. Fine. I don't even care. I didn't have to put any money down. And I got a new car. So who cares? I have a long-term view on it. With negotiation, a lot of it comes down to who has like the upper hand than the power, right? It's kind of like playing poker. So if you're a buyer and you see a home that's been on the market for 100 days, you have more power than the sellers do, but the sellers also don't have to sell you that house. They can walk away and keep living there. So if your buyers are like, this is the house, I love it. We do think it's overpriced, but we love it. So you make a lowball offer, the sellers could come back and say, we need more. And all of a sudden your buyers panic and they're like, oh no, this is the exact house. What if they get another offer? It's been 100 days, probably won't happen, but sometimes that's how it happens. So if you get multiple offers and you're the seller, you have all of the power because you can choose from any sort of offer. You don't even have to pick the best one. You can go to the one that you like the most and say, hey, to be the best one, you need to do these things. So negotiation becomes fun. And we can practice that a whole bunch. Coordinate the sale to closing. This is one of the easiest ones to do because Brittany. So here's how it works when you're working with a transaction coordinator, and I suggest you almost always should. Transaction coordinators cost somewhere between $300 and $500 per closing. You pay them at closing. We actually pay them for you while you're on the productivity team. So we are paying Brittany for you. When you have a transaction coordinator, they become the quarterback and you are the coach. If you were on, there's kind of 2 types of transaction coordinators. I would call them full service and then maybe TC light are the 2 terms I've heard for that. Full service, this is where like they are legit the quarterback and you're the coach. You lay out the game plan and then you stand on the sidelines and watch. Something goes wrong, you call a timeout. You go tell the quarterback, hey, you need to do this. And then you go back to the sidelines and watch. And they do everything for you. The TC light is they're going to make sure you don't mess anything up, but you might have to go out there and run a play or 2, right? Problems with the loan, you might end up calling the lender to figure out what's going on, but the transaction coordinator will know that there's problems. So that would be like the quarterback running the plays, calling the timeout, going over to the coach and be like, coach, we have this problem. They keep picking me off, or I don't know what a quarterback would say. I played soccer. And then the coach would be like, watch how it's done, son. And he'd go out to the field, take a snap, throw a pass, and then walk off and be like, do that next time, and then walk off. That would be the TC light version of it. We are closer to the TC light where you might have to get in and do things. Usually, if you were on a team, that's where you would get something more full service. If you're paying someone like Brittany to do it, you're going to be closer to the TC Lite. They are very similar in practice. It's just who deals when the problem comes up. And to be honest, most agents, no matter what they're doing, they are going to deal with the problem. Right? If an appraisal comes in low, who's going to be better at negotiating it? A TC who knows nothing about how you put the deal together, or you, the agent, who just has seen the house, who put it all together, who knows the comps, who knows everything. Like, you're going to be better in most scenarios than the actual transaction coordinator, but she's going to keep you on track, make sure you're doing it all right. Questions, thoughts, problems about the contract to close? Don't spend your money when you go under contract. Also, don't spend your money when you get a buyer or get a listing. Wait till it closes. And then save your money. Manage your money. We can nerd out on this all the time. I am a huge fan of this. I still do the budget and finances for Red Sign team because they can't get me out of it for two reasons, because I love it and they love what I'm doing in it. So managing money, I can nerd out with that all the time. It's fun to manage money when you have money to manage. It's no fun when no money's coming in, because that's where all the stress is, when you only see money going out. So the way to have money come in is lead generate. That's it. Mindset matters. Shifting gears. Has anyone yet been on Facebook or Instagram and seen a post of someone that has closed a transaction while you've been in real estate? Have you seen that? Have you knocked on a FSBO's door that said, oh, we've already sold? That is going to happen all of the time. When I got into real estate, I told myself, I am not going to stop being friends with anyone because they did not use me as an agent. I take extreme accountability in these things, that if my friends or family did not use me, it is not because of them, it is because of me. I did not either let them know that I'm in real estate well enough, or I did not show my value well enough, or it just weird circumstances, right? I have had people that are like, sorry, man, I can't use you. My brother-in-law is in real estate. Like, yeah, gotta go with your brother-in-law. But at the same time, I've had some of those closings because I'm the brother-in-law. So you win some, you lose some. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and done well. So if you are going to focus on like a growth plan or something that you need to do to learn, and you want to go past Ignite and past what we're talking about, I would focus on these 6 core competencies and start with number 1 and systematically get better at that and then move on.
Okay.
It's the secret. Oh, wait, last thing about mindset. I skipped over something I wanted to say. I probably have a mindset conversation every single week with an agent that is not new. Real estate will beat you up. This is just the story of the game. Like, you are going to have your highest highs and your lowest lows. Who was I talking to just the other day? She was telling me, she went to a listing appointment that she had set and she was feeling good about herself. And she gave all of these advice, and that person was like, I love everything you're saying. I want you to be my agent. She said, great. Here's a listing agreement. And they said, oh no, we can't hire you as our listing agent. We have to use this other person. We want you to help us buy. So she went from this high of like, I'm so great, they want me as their agent, to the, they don't trust me to sell their house, but at least I'm going to buy. So there, she was like all over in like a 5-minute span. This is very common. There are agents that come to me that think, do I even know how to sell a house? Or have I just been lucky for the past decade? That is a legit thing that people have in their mind where they get concerned that they don't know what they're doing. And it's because nothing's working out. So they second guess themselves. The secret to all of this, and I feel like this was a quote, maybe it was in Cody's class and not mine. The secret to all of it is to have more business. It's real easy to let it go. Like this agent not getting a listing. It's easier to let it go because now she's helping them buy a house. How do you think that listing agent feels? Well, she's using me because she has to, whatever the feeling in her mind is what she has to, but then she doesn't trust me enough to go help her buy a house. Like, what am I missing out on? So it's going to be this constant mindset, and the solution is more business. If you have 10 people wanting to work with you, that one that doesn't hurt at all. Because then you're like, well, I don't even like them anyway. Screw them. Right? It becomes very easy. So take control of your own real estate business. Don't let everyone else do it. Like even agents that join teams, they often join teams for specific reasons and hope that others plug in some of their gaps. But I say take control and feel like, how can you do your business so that it plugs those gaps with or without a team? Don't sit back and be passive. You are an active business owner. Go be active and do something. John, I loved your story about your wife the other day, how she started her gift basket business, and you're like, we need to go do something. And so you went and you just talked to everyone at Chamber of Commerce meetings. Like, you were being active and going to do things to get business. So you need to do that same thing. Functionary versus fiduciary. What's the difference?
Functionary is the nuts and bolts about the transaction process. Fiduciary is the obligation and the relationship that you have with your client.
Yes. Yes. The way that I like to look at this, has anyone seen World War Z? Gosh, I come up with this all the time, this thought. I stole it from World War Z. Okay, go home, watch it. It's one of the best zombie movies that's out there. It is like intense, but not scary. It's a little bit scary, but not too scary, but intense. Yeah.
It wasn't scary for me at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't scared at all. My wife was a little scared, but she couldn't watch like Stranger Things. She couldn't do that. So to me, the functionary is a hammer and a nail. The other day I went outside and I saw my 8-year-old son hammering a screw into a board. And that didn't quite work. He got some staples and was hammering those in. It didn't do anything that he was trying to do. He had one tool. It was a hammer. That is a functionary. You are doing the tasks and you have your one way to do everything. Hammer. When someone says, should I sell my house? Your answer is yes, because I'm a hammer. Hammers sell houses, right? You are a nail to me. I don't care what you look like. I'm gonna hammer that, and that's all I have. Functionaries actually get paid way less. As people try to, Homie, great example. They tried to like charge way less for the real estate transaction. And what did they do? They tried to make everything that happened into a checklist. Well, we're going to do your photos, we're going to put it online, and we're going to do this certain marketing on billboards. I don't know what they did. We're going to have a website. And they just check, check, check. They did the activities. And so they could charge the lowest amount possible. What happened to Homie? When was the last time you saw a Homie billboard? Didn't work out for him. So
Similar one in San Diego back in the day called Help You Sell.
yep.
Same thing.
Assist to Sell has been here. There are a whole bunch. That was actually one of my ways when people are like, I think I'm about selling Homie. Like, why? They're so expensive. And I'd be like, well, no, they're way cheap. Oh no. Because for the service that they offered, they were just louder than everyone else running that same business model. There were other people that did that. And when the market's good, there's always a couple of companies like this that pop up. Say, pay us X number of dollars, we'll list your home, but then they don't do anything. They're very functionary. Where you want to be is the fiduciary. This is not the hammer, this is the tool belt. Right? Should a seller sell their house right now? Maybe. What if they rented it? Probably be good for them. What if they lived in it for another year? These are the kind of conversations that you can have if you don't think of yourself as a hammer, as you think of yourself as a tool belt. It is very helpful in gaining trust, but you might talk yourself out of some of the business. Now, let me relate this to you guys. I talk to agents all of the day that would not be good in real estate. Like, have you ever met someone and you're like, you're in the wrong world? So it would be very easy for me to try to be their fiduciary and say, you know what? Let me save you $2,000 and 120 hours. Don't go take those tests, the class. Don't try to pass the test. Don't pay $2,000 to be licensed to then fail in real estate. The reason that I don't do this is because there are a lot of agents on this board specifically that make good money that are not what I would guess would be a good agent. If you were to talk to them, you'd be like, you don't fit. But they are up on this board crushing it. Let's see. Let me call out some of the people. There's some good people on here. Adam Swenson right here. He sells more land than anyone I know. He talks and sounds like a farm boy from Payson, kind of a thing. Like if you met him, you'd be like, Adam, how are you selling so much real estate? He freaking crushes it. Dan Kennedy, he's my favorite example on this whole board. I don't know where his picture is though. He is not a social person. Oh, he was playing the bass on the yeah, tall guy.
Dude.
Yep, tall guy playing the bass. He is direct, he is honest, and he is not social. So he does not seem like the typical fun real estate agent that would go out and talk to a lot of people. So he has gone out and crushed it, even though he doesn't check all of the typical boxes. So every once in a while, you're going to meet someone and you're going to say, they're going to say, should I sell my house? And you're going to say, maybe, let's see. And you're going to think, I think you should sell your house or shouldn't sell your house or whatever. And they are not going to do what you said or thought that they should do. And that is completely fine because you are the fiduciary. You are doing what is best for them. The thing is, you don't know their whole story. You know parts of it that they are offering to you, right? Adam Swenson crushes it on land because he knows all of the farmers. So of course he's going to crush land. So when you think of a typical real estate agent, you don't think of a farm boy that's kind of quiet from Payson. He goes, meets these farmers he already has rapport with, and he says, let's sell your land. Of course, he's the go-to guy. So you're missing key details on what works. Dan, he goes out and he just crushes it because he is systematic about what he does and how he does it. And so he doesn't seem like a great, like, friendly prospector, but the prospecting that he does is so systematic and consistent that he crushes it. So you're missing key pieces. So as you're being the fiduciary, you need to offer advice and what would be the best for them, and then help them get that. Right? My friend, he lives in a townhome. He hates his townhome. He probably has $400,000 of equity, and he wants to buy a different house. I say, you can buy a different house really easily. Your payment's going to double or triple depending on the house you get. Are you okay with that? And he says, no. So I say, great, let's test this. Why don't you save the double part of whatever your house payment would be and just put that in a different bank, different savings account, and test that you can do that. Let's talk in 6 months, see how difficult that was for you. And then, so I don't know, that's going to come up in a month or two. We'll see how he's been doing. And if he's able to do that and not feel house poor, which is his big objection, then we're gonna go buy a house. I probably could have listed his house 3 months ago if I was just like functionary, ready to just go and sell and say, it is best for you to go sell a house and try to convince him of that. Me being trying to be a little more fiduciary and do the best for him. I'm waiting for him. But it's either gonna be like a, yep, this is it, let's go, and he's gonna be 100%, or he's still gonna be a little shaky, but with more money in his bank account. And I'm the one to thank for that. So win-win in my mind. Be fiduciary. Do what is best for your clients, not what is best for you, and it will pay off in the long run. By the way, I sold a house to my friend's brother because this is how I talk to him. What's the best for you? He lives in these townhomes, in these condos right here, just right next door. Easiest time showing houses. We literally walked out of our buyer appointment across the street and into one of the condos. We didn't even get in cars for showings. So be the fiduciary. We're not gonna do activity. Oh, manage the money. Wrong spot. Okay, give me some ahas from today so far. Then we have some activities.
I feel a lot more comfortable about, the things that I'm scared about.
Good.
Particularly because you said that, hey, it's for like a first time buyer seller. They don't really have a benchmark, to say, hey, Goetti's a jerk or Goetti's the greatest guy there is.
Yep.
There's no real benchmark. So, that tells me is be the best version. When I go out
Yes.
there, be the best me. That's pretty much it. That's gonna win it for me.
That's a
That was-
great
that
aha.
was good.
Good one. What else?
When you asked to see like the first 5C, I was surprised because mostly it's outside country. I was like, oh, I need to make new friends.
Get some new friends.
I'll be a friend, I'll be your friend.
Yeah, problem is John doesn't buy too many houses.
Yeah.
You won't get any referrals from him.
I was like,
Oh
well,
my gosh, you guys wanna hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Do we have time for a quick funny one? So my ex, has a lot of medical issues. Like I was telling Cameron this. We were just, in private, we were talking. And, she has a lot of health issues. And one of the things that she's been trying to do in the past, not all the time, but in the past year, she's made a couple of attempts to try to strong arm me to sell the house. Because in the divorce, I kept the house. She will get her share of the equity if I ever sell the house. Well, the last thing she tried to do was she found out that I have a tenant who was a friend of mine. And this tenant, she's a young Asian woman and all that. And so, right away, there's that suspicion, oh, go in, you dirty old man. What's going on here? But she's a friend and a tenant. And so my ex called me up and said, hey, you're cohabitating. I'm like, no, I'm not. She said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. She said, yes, you are. You have someone living with you. That is cohabitating. I said, no, it isn't. I said, I have a tenant. I have a person who is renting a specific room of the house. That is not the same as cohabitating. Oh, yes, it is. And it just kind of went back and forth. But the bottom line, she was just trying to scare me into selling the house because I'm in violation of our divorce decree.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Freaking exes.
Oh, gosh.
Great way to sell houses though. Find the people with the X's.
Yep.
Okay, any other ahas?
The main thing you gotta focus on is lead generate.
Yes.
And you're looking at the steps and the rest of the steps.
Yep. The rest of the real estate past lead generation is either fun, easy, or it just kind of comes because you have to do it. Right? If someone's like, hey, will you write this offer for me? And you have no idea how to write an offer, you will go figure out how to write an offer and it will come. But if you don't go do the work to find a client, like that never just comes. That's the active work you need to focus on the most. All right. Oh, look at this. It was in my slides. Gary Keller. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. So if I were to talk to you guys right now, how many people do you think you have in your pipeline that will buy or sell in 2025? Honest question, and 0 is an okay answer. Because I know 2.
Yeah, I think I have a couple. Two. Right
If,
now.
yeah, if you don't have anyone, you need to find them. If you only have a few, you need to go find more. Because my friend, for example, that should list his townhome and buy another house. Who knows if he's even going to buy in 2025? Because he has a 3-bedroom house. He's got 3 kids. So he's got 2 boys shared and a girl that's not. They're fine. 2,800 square foot townhome. Like it's a fairly big, nice townhome. Great part of town. Backs up to a park right around from the library and a rec center. Like it's a cool area. He could be fine forever. He just wants something bigger and nicer. So is he going to sell in 2025 and buy? Who knows? He wants to do new construction. So even if he sells, he's probably not even going to buy till 2026. I don't know. So even a pipeline lead that I have that I would say, yeah, I got someone in the pipeline. He's a big maybe. And a lot of these are. So we need to fill this pipeline with the most amount of people. And that is how your business is it. Accountability, people achieve results, blah, blah, blah. Do you have an accountability partner in your business? Someone that you can practice with, someone that can hold you accountable to doing things like lead generation and things like that. This should probably be another new agent that is on our team. Find someone, could be in this room, could be someone like maybe tomorrow, you chat with other people that are new. Find someone that can be your accountability partner. Safe place to share, will follow through with their action items, listens and pays attention, set a frequency of checking in with each other, dig deep to find if you did the things you were going to do, respect each other, create a commitment and stick to it, be open in receiving feedback, give specific feedback, and then have each other's best interest in mind. If you do this, this is how you will learn and improve. The best way to learn is to teach. And I doubt any of you are ready to get up in front of the class like this and teach a class for an hour or 2. So the next best thing is teach the people around you. So accountability partners. They are also very good for scripts and practice for things that you should be saying. Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So look at what you can measure. Start with your sphere. But this is what I wanted to talk about. Did Cody mention this, John?
You know what? He touched on it, I believe.
Okay, good. Otherwise, I'd get mad at him. So Ignite has this idea of the daily success system. Agents that do this typically have their first under contract while in Ignite, which is, we do it in 2 months. So within 2 months, you should get a under contract by doing these things. Some of these feel weird because either you don't do social media, so doing social media is weird, or you've never sent a letter and you don't even know how to do a handwritten note. But it covers all of this. So every day, what you should do is have 10 conversations. You should add 10 contacts to your database. If you have already uploaded everyone to your database, I would say this is organize your database. So if you're like, I just dumped everyone from my phone into my database, okay, you got to organize, and I would put 20. So you're gonna delete some. Like John admitted he has Cafe Rio in his phone. That should not be in his database. I don't think he's gonna sell a house if he calls Cafe Rio. He will get a delicious lunch is about it. Yeah. 10 handwritten notes. This is a week. So every week, so daily it should just be 2 handwritten notes. It could be a little thank you note, it could be a birthday card, it could be whatever you want. Clay Winder, when he got started in real estate, he would have a conversation and be like, hey, I got into real estate. Will you help me? If you ever hear of anyone looking to buy or sell, will you put us in a group text message? And they said, yep. And he said, thanks so much for doing that. Hey, I want to send you something. What's your address? And he would write it down on the envelope, type it into his little database, hang up, write a little note. Thanks so much for committing to help me grow my business by sending me referrals. Here's a business card if you ever need it. Put it in, seal it up, lick it, put it aside, move to the next one. That was his whole onboarding lead generation plan. It worked for him. Said it took a couple months for him to actually get a call from someone that's like, oh, so-and-so referred me. He's like, sweet, but he got something from it. And he talked to a few people that ended up selling their houses while he was doing it. So he didn't even need the referrals. But I think it was just, he let everyone know he's in real estate. So handwritten notes. 10-5-1 social media engagement. There's a whole bunch of different versions of this. But it's a purposeful way to be on social media. So you're not just scrolling. You need to like 10 different people's posts. Ideally, it's different like everywhere. So it's not like the same 10 people every single day. You do 5 comments and 1 direct message. If you do things like this, Instagram, Facebook, all of these social media will be like, hey, they're really good friends because look at how much they're liking, commenting, and messaging to each other. And then when you post something, it goes to the top of their feed because it thinks that you're friends. So get purpose with this. I've heard about other things you can do, like 555, for example, where you post 5 stories a day, 5 reels a week, and 1 post every day. So I don't know why it's 555, but something like that. Try to go on appointments, get agreements, get closings. That's the enrichment. Did you do something to move forward towards those? As you're getting ready for this, we talked about this on Thursday, is having some sort of positive affirmation and thinking behind it. So before you do lead generation, they say you should do this. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution and people are happy to be in relationship with me. Like tell yourself something positive like this. What we talked about is thinking about, you go to lead generate, whatever your goal is. So if you wanted to do the 10 conversations like this, as you sit down to call those 10 people, right before you do it, if you're worried or scared or don't want to do it, you have to think, what would happen if I never made a call? I never had a conversation. And walk down that path of negativity and let that fuel you to go do action and talk to those people. If you sit down and you're like, you know what, I'm kind of excited to talk to these people. Take a minute, think about what happens if you have 10 conversations and where that could lead you in a positive direction. Maybe you get a closing, maybe you get a referral, maybe all of a sudden you have a rental property because you've been doing this so consistently. Whatever that is, you start to go positive. So if you're excited, go positive. If you're not, go negative, and let either one of those fuel you to go do those 10 conversations. I would set a specific goal like that every single day, maybe every week and every month as well. But like, how many conversations are you going to have each day? Then you need to figure out where does that fit into your schedule, and then don't stop until you hit that goal. That's why it is not 10 calls, it is 10 conversations. That might be 20 or 30 calls. You might have 10 conversations and then a bunch of people get back to you later in the day and you end up with 13, 15 conversations. So we're gonna role play real quick. What an actual conversation would look like with someone. So, who wants to be a guinea pig? Okay, John. You're gonna call someone. Who are you gonna call here?
I'm gonna call Diego.
Okay, you're gonna call Diego. You guys are friends, but you haven't talked in how long?
5 years.
5 years? Is this an okay time?
That's a lot of my contacts I haven't spoken to.
Okay.
And I get the best
Does this sound real to
conversations.
everyone else?
Couple years.
Okay, 5 years, you're friends, you haven't talked. John, go, give us an example. Wait, I'm gonna give some constraints. We're gonna do like
English?
English.
Speak Spanish.
Yeah, wait, do you speak Spanish? English? And we're only gonna do 2 minutes.
Okay.
Cause I'm more worried about like the intro than the rest of it. Okay, cause what's the hardest part about making a call? Besides dialing the number, it's what do you say right as they say hello? Okay, Diego, say hello, and then you're in, John.
Long time. Hey, Diego, how are you? It has been a long time. I really apologize for that. I want you to know that for 2025, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting back in touch on a regular basis with friends like yourself.
Thanks a lot, John. It's a long time such a. I almost forgot I had your number. And I really wanted to see you again after these many years.
Yeah, I think we should get together. I really think that, that would be wonderful for us to get together for lunch or something. Plus, I wanted to tell you, I have some exciting news. The last time we spoke, I worked for FedEx and I got out of that industry. And now I'm in a new career as a real estate agent for Keller Williams.
Really? How's that
Yes.
been?
It's been very good. And it's also a reason why I was calling you because I wanted to ask you, I know that you were renting the last time we spoke. I would love to help you perhaps find a house if you're interested in buying or investing in this year. And if you know of any friends or family that could really benefit from my services, I really want to help them out and help you out as well.
Okay, that's good. All right, let's do some feedback. You okay with that? Okay, what did he do well?
I wouldn't talk like that.
I would say how he introduced his real estate changes career.
That's
Yep.
what I was gonna say. How are you saying, not FedEx anymore, but
Yep.
now we'll say, wanted to let you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You-
My favorite part is it was John. Like, did it sound like someone else? Like it sounded like you.
Yeah.
That's like, I could imagine overhearing a call exactly like that, right? What were you gonna say?
No, I like it, but for myself, I don't know if I have this conversation on the first call, maybe in the second or third, and I'll just make sure I know more about him. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I just want like, okay, just know what's going on in his life. And after, just show interest about him, and maybe the second call, the third call, tell more about me. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, that was,
Yeah. Especially in part, like, if you ask them about their job, they'd like to ask them back. Bring it up naturally and just ask.
yep. Yeah. So I think you could have done this exact same thing, just peppering questions to him about the similar thing, like even you could still go like, I just changed my job, like it's been a little bit since we talked, I got into real estate, I'm out of FedEx now. What are you doing nowadays? Or you use Austin and go, what are you doing nowadays? And then they'll ask you, oh, I'm actually out of FedEx and I'm into real estate. Are you still renting? And then it's a lot more questions to like catch up. That's kind of how you started. Like, it's been 5 years. I want to be a better friend. Let's catch up. And so you're asking
Like
questions.
set the expectation.
Yeah.
Did that.
Yeah. I feel like the older I get, the more excited I get with random people calling me that I haven't talked to in a long time.
It's current one.
Yeah.
What do you wanna sell?
Yeah. But like when I get a friend though, I'm like, someone's calling me. Why are they calling me? Like, hey, like something is happening.
Yeah,
Like my backyard. Yeah. Okay. Do you guys all need to practice this? Do you feel comfortable, confident? Could you do this right now? You know I'm gonna make you do it right now, aren't you? I want you to write down 5 names of people to call right now. I'm only gonna do 5, so it's easy. The only rule is you have to call through all 5 of them. This week, if you're doing the DTD2, which is do the database, where we get 2 letters each week, it is B and E. So if their last name starts with B, so I have Justin Bird, who's in my phone. What else do I have with B's? It's the only one that comes to mind. And then E's. Oh, my cousin married an Edwards. She's in Edwards now. That'd be a good one. So write down 5 people. Can be any 5 that you want, or you can go up the DTD2. You have to call all 5 of these people. It shouldn't be someone that you've called within the last 90 days as well. And then I want you to have a conversation like John did. You can practice this with someone else if you get nervous. Yeah. Um, the best is Ford. How's the family? What are you doing for work? Do anything fun lately? What do you have planned? Dreams. Or you can just ask them what they dreamed about. What did you dream about last night? This is the easiest. Whenever anyone's in my dream, I end up calling them the next day. Feel like it's meant to be. What was it in my dream last night? I thought of it like I woke up in the night and I thought I should call that person tomorrow. And I went back to sleep. I can't remember who it is. So it's not that important, but it was someone super random that I haven't talked to in like 10 years. However the mind works, who knows? So Ford. Hey, I love John's opening. New year, new me. I want to keep in contact with people like you. We used to be friends, you know. Or I randomly saw your name and thought it would be fun to catch up. Whatever your excuse is to yourself. And then you can ask me.
Sorry for it.
So here's how it goes. You make a call to this person. If they answer, have a conversation. Doesn't even need to be about real estate if you don't want to. If real estate comes up, even better. If they do not answer, I would send them a text, whatever your opening excuse was, right? So in John's scenario, it can be, hey, I just want to be a better friend. That's one of my big goals this year. So I thought I'd reach out. How are you? And then that moves the conversation into text, which I'm completely fine with, but you start with the call. If your excuse is, I just thought of you, I had a dream about you last night, it doesn't matter. Maybe you don't want to admit that to them. Whatever. Okay, you ready? Is everyone ready? Go make some calls. So every day, by the way, you should do something like this. You should prepare a list of people to call. Probably gonna be more like 20 people that you should call. You might prepare it for the week and then just go through it. Maybe it's prepared in command, so you know who you're gonna call. It's just like, I'm gonna start at the top of command and work my way down of people that I haven't talked to in more than 90 days. That's a filter you can do, log it in command. Then after you do that, you update the contacts in command with any information you gathered, log that you called them. And then you're done. Write some notes too. Go on social media and be purposeful. Set a timer or a little checkbox so you can be like, I liked this many people's posts, I commented on this many, and I did a direct message. And that could be your lead generation. We try to get fancy a lot of the time in real estate. But if you have enough people in your phone, you can just call those people. You have people on social media, you can just engage with them, and then you're good. And then you'd have to find like, which will be the next few classes that we'll do, is like, how else are you gonna find lead? Open houses, door knocking, prospecting, whatever that looks like, find them. Okay, you got your 5? Yeah, you pick up your phone and you find them.
I